Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. I would like to start off by saying sorry if there's a whole lot of background noise. One, I'm living right next door to a house being constructed, which is always nice because there's all sorts of hullabaloo happening at all hours of the day. And two, my children are home running amok, so you might hear a little bit of both those things, just as a warning. But today's video, we're going to be talking about things I wish I knew before I became a mom. And without further ado, let's just jump right in. So the first thing I wish I knew was how much you need to prepare for it. I feel like with my first especially, I was kind of blindsided by how much postpartum is. And my son decided to grace us with his presence at 36 weeks. So I didn't go full term like I thought I was going to. And that left a lot of things unprepared. And so now, especially this third time around, I've been doing small things basically my entire pregnancy to set myself up for the best postpartum experience possible. Most of it will be coming all to a close in the next few weeks because I will be 33 weeks on Saturday. And my first I had at 36 weeks and my second I had at 38 weeks. So in my mind, I need to have all of the important things, I guess you could say, done by 38 weeks. If I go longer, that's great and I have longer to prepare, but things like packing my hospital bag, I'm probably going to do within the next week or two. I do want to be more prepared, like meals wise. So I'm going to like prep some frozen dinners so that way I don't have to worry about what's for dinner. I just pull something out from the freezer, throw it in the crock pot, Instant Pot, whatever you have, and then it just makes things so much easier for you because it's one less thing that you have to worry about. But yeah, just prepping as much as you can to make your life a little bit easier when the time comes. You'll thank yourself. The next thing I wish I knew was that you don't have to share your time or your baby with anyone when you are postpartum. I feel like with my first, I was a lot more in the people-pleasing stage when it came to like people meeting the baby and like coming over and blah, blah, blah. Now I don't care at all. This third time around, you will come meet the baby when I say you can come meet the baby. And when you do have people come over, you do want to make sure that they are ones that will respect the boundaries that you have in place regarding your child and yourself, and people that you don't feel like you would have to entertain, so to speak, while you're postpartum. With my first, when we were in the hospital, we had visitors and all that stuff. And the second time around, we didn't have any visitors, and it was actually very nice. I didn't have to worry about doing anything except sleeping when the baby slept and feeding the baby and bonding, because I feel like that day or two in the hospital with your baby is like especially if you have other kids at home, is the only real time you're going to be able to have to bond with just you and your baby before you have to like go home and go back into mom mode and wife mode for everyone else. You know what I mean? So just make sure that you are absorbing all that time with your baby, because it is way more important for you and your baby to bond than it is for your baby to meet everyone. Yeah, I don't get it, but people have like this weird sense of entitlement when it comes to other people's children. I don't know what it is, but we should stop it. We should put an end to it. So just know before you go into this, you are not obligated to share yourself or your baby with anyone except those that you want to be around you for that time. That does not make you selfish. That does not make you a bad person. They will meet the baby when it's time for them to meet the baby, and they can, if they want to be mad, that's on them. The next thing I wish I knew was how freaking hard breastfeeding is, okay? Like, I get it, there are some women who are graced with having a beautiful breastfeeding experience. That was not me. Okay, I struggled so hard, and unfortunately I didn't have anyone around me who breastfed, so it was like I couldn't really reach out to anyone for like tips and advice and stuff like that, except relying on the internet. And we all know the internet is a terrible place to ask anything, okay? Especially if you're a mom. But yeah, it's so hard, okay? It's hard, it's exhausting, it's time consuming, it's a lot, and especially those first few months, it's a lot. And I really wish we prepared moms more for how hard it is, instead of just making it seem like breastfeeding is this natural, beautiful thing that everyone should be able to do with absolutely no problems. Know what I mean? So that's another thing. Breastfeeding is hard, and it's okay. The next thing I wish I knew is that there's no right answer when it comes to being a mom. There's so many books and blog posts and videos and podcasts and all this stuff of what everyone thinks is the right thing to do when it comes to raising your baby or your children. And the truth is, there is really no right way to do this. It's hard, and I think you should just do what's best for you, your baby, and your family, and that's all you can do, really. Like, oh, so-and-so is doing it this way, and it's working for them, and it's just like, great, it's working for them, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and that is okay. So just do what you feel is best, and take it day by day. The next thing I wish I knew is that you're going to feel frustration, and that is okay. Postpartum is a lot. If you think about it, you spend 10 months with your hormones changing and your body changing and all of this stuff. And the first 24 to 48 hours after birth, your body goes from pregnancy hormones to back to almost regular hormones. So it's a drastic change for your body. Biologically, it's a lot for you to go through. And just remember to give yourself a whole lot of grace. And it's okay if the house is an absolute wreck, and it's okay if you're in survival mode for those first few weeks. And just remember that it's a phase, it will pass, and just give yourself as much grace as possible during that time, because it's hard. And that's that. And these next two that I'm going to say are kind of going to go hand in hand, but the first one is to ask for help or use it when it's offered. So if someone asks to take your older children so you and the baby can take a nap together, don't feel guilty about doing that. If your mom wants to come over and upkeep your house for you for a few weeks while you're bonding with the baby, let her do that. Stuff like that. If someone wants to do a meal for you, let them do that. Honestly, setting up meal trains with your friends and family is probably the best thing you can do, honestly, because then everyone knows how much like figuring out what you want to eat, especially when you have children, and you're postpartum, it's like I don't have the brain power to figure it out, you know what I mean? So setting up meal trains is probably like the best thing you can do, in my opinion. But that's what it is. Just if you need help, ask. If someone offers their help, take it, and don't feel bad. And the last one is, your husband or partner is not a mind reader. Tell him what you need. And I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, well, it's common sense, they should just know. And it's like, no, it's not. Men literally do not know what it's like to give birth and have a postpartum period. They don't know what it's like to carry a baby and feel all those changes and stuff like that. They don't know what any of that is like. They don't know what it's like to have the drastic hormone changes and emotional changes and all of that stuff. And what may seem like common sense to us is not common sense to them. And men and women process things very differently. And you just have to be upfront with them. Be like, hey, can you do this for me? Or hey, I need 10 minutes to myself. Here are the children. I'm going to go hide. Or whatever it is that you think you need. Okay? You have to make sure that you are communicating with your husband about that. I feel like communication at this part of your relationship is probably the most important, because I really do feel like it'll make or break it. But just remember, communication is key. If you need something, ask for it. He's not a mind reader. He's not going to know what you need if you don't tell him. I do have one more thing that I wish I knew before I became a mom, and it's how much you change as a person. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I very much so like this version of me now than I liked pre-kid Dominique. But you do change a lot, and I do think it's in ways that are for the better. But it's also like you change for the better, but you also kind of miss old parts of yourself, if that makes sense. And I just wish I was prepared for how much I would change as a person once you become a mom. And that's it, guys. That's all I have to say. Sorry it was a little chatty, but those are all the things I wish I knew before I became a mom. Let me know if you have anything that you wish you knew before you became a mom or dad down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.